Inside at last.
Welcome, fellow Taffers, to Inside at Last, the one and only thief-dedicated podcast. My name is Alex, and today I'm joined again by Jake and Seth for our Taffers talk. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Ooh, who was that? That was Seth, right?
Opening a drink?
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
It sure was.
Jake. And yeah, we are live again, so please chat. Welcome, and nice that it's already some people there. Please let us know if the sound is good. I tried to remix it a bit because last time my voice on the live stream was really loud and the others were a bit more silent. I think that's nice, but I tried to rearrange that a bit. So please let us know if it's good from the sound. Yeah, and we have a Taffers talk before our summer break, because at least I'm on vacation at the end of June to the middle of July, and we thought to do at least a Taffers talk. It's a bit rushed together, but I think it's fine. Anything we need to talk about before we go into the first topic?
Nothing specific for me.
Oh, yeah. I have something. Cardia released a new mission. Did you play it?
No, I'm actually playing Godbreaker right now.
Oh, that's a nice change. So
that's how you do a forest mission.
How far are you in the mission?
I'm gonna guess that I'm like 30% of the way through mission 2.
Oh, that's hard to do a percentage of, I guess.
I'm going by loot count. I'm gonna assume that I'm about 30% of the way through. I've just found spoiler alert, plug your ears. I've just found the Crayman mask, so I don't know if that.
Oh yeah, that's a nice feature, right? About this
that is cool.
Dude.
I did caveat that spoiler.
Yeah, but you know, normally we just go all over that on the specific episodes. But yeah, you know, we can spoil that. But yeah, there's a Crayman thing. Yeah, that's there are other nice things, and some you know, one thing I hated, but you have to listen to the episode about Godbreaker. It was disappointing. I just say the eye flowers, my best friends.
Yeah, I was disappointed by that too. I'll agree.
You can trust them normally, you know.
Yeah. They're watching your back, so to speak.
Yeah, actually, and you know, it's a good advertisement for vegetarians. You know, like that it's healthy, but somehow it's not. So I think we can get into the first topic this time. And is Eminel? Oh yeah, Eminel is in the chat. So that's a nice thing, because that was the first topic that I choose. And it is about loneliness in Thief. And does some of you guys want to read out the post that was shown on the forums?
Sure.
And as always, the links are down in the Google Doc, so you Taffers can follow everything and read it for yourself.
I threw it up in the chat too.
Yeah, nice. So please, yeah, Seth, you want to go on?
You got it.
Thanks.
So the title of the thread is Loneliness and Isolation in Thief Games, post by Amenel. One of the main reasons why I've always preferred Thief 1 to Thief 2 is because the former perfectly depicts a sensation of loneliness and isolation. To illustrate my point, I'll give 2 examples. Bonehorde is such a scary venture into a maze-like network of underground tombs and caves. If that was happening in real life, I'm sure it would take an entire night or longer for Garrett to steal the Horn of Quintus and come out alive to the surface. Every time I listen to the lonesome melody of the horn itself, I feel like I'm trapped abysmally deep within halls where silence and melancholy dwell, much like Moria from Lord of the Rings. The Sword is another great example. Constantine's mansion is populated by human guards, but Garrett quickly discovers that there's something sinister about it. The bizarre architecture, magical traps, and the sound of laughing create a very dense atmosphere of desolation and being left to one's own devices. And then there's the character of Garrett. Garrett's an independent person, a loner, and a natural-born survivalist with very few associates or friends. He's an outcast used to solitude and working at night. He dares to venture where others perish. The city is a reflection of his loneliness and alienation. It simply oozes with the qualities that characterize the very master thief. Thief 1 constantly puts you in a strange and uncomfortable environment that aggravates feelings of disorientation and isolation. Even seemingly normal levels, like Beford's Manor or Assassins, are just thick with a very specific atmosphere that you can't find in any other game. Thief 2 is a little more predictable in terms of level design and environmental storytelling, because it utilizes human-based levels such as mansions, warehouses, museums, and banks. Still a good game in other terms, and in a few levels I can still sense the familiar atmosphere to some degree, but something's definitely missing. What are your thoughts?
I think in general it comes down to what is better, Thief 1, Thief 2? And I don't know if I ever told my opinion on that. No, but I think it's pretty clear because, as described, the architecture is more unpredictable, and I think that's the appeal for many, why they maybe prefer Thief 1 over Thief 2, because it's a bit more. Yeah, you don't know what to expect, and you get this feeling that you are alone in this maze like structure sometimes. And I think that you can see that especially in the latest contests where we had some, I would say, Thief 1 dedicated missions, even for Thief 2. And they always had this, the focus was on this maze like disorientating, a bit psyche atmosphere and design. And I have to admit that after some missions that were really done very nicely in this regard, I can now see the appeal of that.
You're coming over to the light side.
Dark side, I would say. It's the darker game, so.
This is true. I'm in the Thief 1 camp. I do think that the games offer different experiences in that, like, people who I think this is an assumption that I'm making, but I think that people who like Thief 1 and Thief 1 fan missions are looking for the more like surreal kind of weird levels, and people who like Thief 2 and Thief 2 fan missions tend to like something a little bit more conventional. But then you have like Hildebrand's Hotel or Heist at Hildebrand's Hotel. I always get that name mixed up.
Yeah, but that's not original.
No, but I think the games have kind of like dictated the direction the fan missions go in, right? Like a lot of Thief 1 fan missions tend to be undead missions, or like they tend to be less conventional at the very least.
Mm-hmm. That's the question. What is conventional in, when you look at Thief, like, is the first game actually maybe more conventional for the Thief campaign?
I don't think so. Sorry, Jake, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. I think that it kind of comes down to, and I think Seth, you said like surreal. I think the feelings that maybe he's describing, in my opinion, I can kind of see that. I do prefer the second game, spoilers, but I kind of see what he's coming from in terms of the feelings of isolation and loneliness, because the first game, the levels and sort of the theme of the game is all about, Constantine and the pagans, like kind of destroying civilization, and a lot of the places that you go to, like the Bone Horde and like the Cathedral, are places that are like where life has perished, or they're haunted, or the dead and nature have kind of overtaken them. So kind of you have this feeling of loneliness because civilization has kind of rotted away from them. But in the second game, you're going to places that are still populated and in fact like growing in some cases, like like Soulforge. Well, Soulforge is a bad example, but Angel Watch, the First City Bank, these huge places that have tons of life in them, and it kind of gives you more of a feeling that civilization is progressing. I mean, in the way that the mechanists want, but you know what I'm saying? Like it feels more like civilization is alive and well in the second game, whereas in the first game it feels like it's corroding away, and it feels very isolated because you're surrounded by the dead and ghosts and all these other things.
But
I think that's a really good point.
It's a good point, but that's the thing maybe for me, because for me it feels like, okay, in the civilized world that is happening there in the city, Garrett is, as well as haunts and ghosts and zombies and whatnot, is like an object that's not belonging there. No, see, he's one of the evil, at least for the other parts, for the enemies. For our enemies, we are the enemy. So if you are among all those stuff, you kind of belong there, You are also a creepy, dangerous thing that lurks in the dark. And when you look at Thief 2, as you correctly described, you are more in the inhabited areas, and there you don't belong. You really don't belong there. Yes, you are among humans where you belong, but not in your position or your actions. So I actually like it more that you are this dark figure in those beautiful, well-lighted places. That gives me a better feeling, or for okay, I don't belong. I really don't belong here. I'm in a bank. I'm at this luxury tower. And I'm here and I have to hide.
I mean, that's I feel that's true, and I mean, I think it comes down to, in terms of like what you like more. Obviously, like it comes down to some preference and stuff like that. I mean, but you're totally right though. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, you're still an intruder. I just think that like for as a person, you subconsciously like you see other people maybe, and you feel more of like you feel a little bit more comfortable. Whereas when you see like a haunt or something like that, it gives you that feeling of dread. But you're right in the fact that both places, you're the one that's not supposed to be there. The cathedral, the haunted cathedral is not for humans anymore. It's for the undead and things like that. So I think a lot of it, in terms of mood and atmosphere, comes down to preference. But I agree with the comment, like the comment saying, like I do feel like the first game is more oppressive in its atmosphere, but I think it just comes down to preferences for me.
Even like when I play Thief 2 fan missions that are more fantastical, I think that they borrow the ones that I really enjoy borrow the atmosphere of Thief 1 missions. Like they have a weight and like a heaviness, whereas I feel like Thief 2 missions on the whole feel a little lighter, not in like the sense of like they're brighter, but lighter as in like the atmosphere is lighter.
Yes, of course, yeah, that's true. But of course, that's a thing of taste, and of course, you can more predict what to expect from this building, and that's what I said at the beginning. I think it changes the game style very much. The way how you play it and how you approach the level. Because if you can expect, okay, this is a bank, they will have like a lobby, and in the upper areas there will be offices and stuff like that, and the vault, of course, is down in the basement. So you can expect, like Truarts Manor or whatnot. You always have an idea of what this place should be or will be like. On the other hand, and I think that will be the topic at the end, just to as a throw-out discussion. I like it in Thief 2 when there is a creepy or strange area. It, in my opinion, gets a bit more important because it's more rare. Like in the prison, in Mission 3, that where this haunt is running around, where you're like, okay, what's this about? Or like Truarts Dungeon, and every time you find something like that, it adds to this creepy atmosphere where I would say, okay, this city is like suddenly, it evolved so much in technology and in beauty of the design of the city, but there's still that dark things lurking,
Hidden away.
There's like little pockets.
Yeah, it's just like a facade, built around. It's like East Germany, when I can tell you, when in East Germany, when who was he, the president of East Germany, Erich Honecker was his name, and when he, for example, visited my hometown, it was still behind the curtain. Then they built facades in front of the buildings, and then they put like flower pots and stuff inside the windows, and they painted the grass green so that it looks
Make
really
it look
beautiful.
nice.
You know, and I could imagine like they would do that for Karas as well. You know, like when there's maybe there's a parade or something, and that would go through an area that is maybe not totally mechanized. I would say then they would build up facades, you know, and put like watchers inside the corners and stuff like
Put
that.
some gears and springs everywhere. Just
Yeah.
throw them on the ground.
And then there's just a hamster behind it, you know, running in a wheel so that they turn.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that there is like it's like subtext, or it's like the evil, the undead is like hidden away in the second game. And I agree that it is more, seeing a haunt in the second game is very, like, especially in Truarts Mansion, is very
it's jarring as all hell.
Yeah,
right?
It's jarring. Yep.
Unexpected.
Yep, for sure. But yeah, I think that I agree. I mean, the first game too. I mean, with the level design is also, I think, like you said earlier, Alex, is very maze-like. Whereas the second game, like you said, like you go into a bank, it's going to be in a bank, but you really can't predict what's going to be in, Constantine's mansion or some of these other. Yeah, Lost City. You definitely can't predict that. So
you can't predict that it will be shit.
Right, exactly. So it adds that feeling of you feel really lost. Whereas like in a bank, like you said, you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the vault. I'm going to go to the office. Here's the lobby, etc. Because they're based on sort of things that we can relate to in the real world.
But as I said, I can see the appeal, and I think that's some of the things that's so great about Thief. That just by changing the design of the level, that suddenly your approach changes, and then the way you explore it, and it can change your feelings. Of, I don't know if you're scared or intrigued, or you feel like, okay, I want to master this maze-like thing, and get a map inside my head of this really disorientating level. I can see the appeal. But I would still always prefer Thief 2 style missions. But sometimes, if they are done nicely, like what was it? I cannot recall the names. But wasn't it the winner or second place from the last contest?
Describe the mission.
Yeah, it was like Into the Odd, but in small, and Into the Odd as well. Both of them, they showed me like, okay, there's something to these kind of missions, and of course Gaki's work added to that.
Was it by Marbleman as well?
I don't. No. It wasn't by Marbleman. Doesn't matter. But it was pretty great. And I could see how intriguing it is, and it was a lot of fun.
When's the Lost City remake happening?
What? Sorry?
Nah, I was making a joke because you don't like the Lost City, and I was like, so when's the Lost City remake happening?
In Thief 2.
It should be remade. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that episode. Playing that and taking notes will be a lot of fun.
Somebody did do, I know you were joking, but somebody did a source port of the Lost City into the Thief 2 engine that you can download as a fan mission.
Yeah, I saw that, and you know what? I might go play that after this.
What is it? What is it? I didn't get that. I didn't hear about it. What is it?
Oh, so basically somebody took, like, a fan mission author took the Lost City and they converted it into like a Thief 2 mission, and you can play it as like a fan mission. So they, did the mission with all of the like the lighting and all the upgrades that the Thief 2 engine has over the first game. So you can kind of play it standalone, like within Thief 2, the Lost City.
Doesn't make it better, right?
I think it's called Return to the Lost City, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
This one.
I think I played that. It's not. It didn't release recently, or?
No. It's
okay. Then I'm pretty sure that I played it. Yeah. I wanted to say something, but I forgot. Yeah. Take it easy. You were asking Into the Odd ? What is your question? Into the Odd was it second or third place from the Thief 2 anniversary contest, if I remembered correctly?
He had a comment, said, I started playing it and I want to do an LP, a long play of it, because I have a lot of thoughts.
It would be spurging at every readable. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting mission. Sadly, the authors didn't want to come up. We couldn't talk about it with them. But maybe this is worth a discussion for another day. Yeah, that was a really interesting, great mission. But I think it would have deserved to be a Thief 1 contest mission. But who am I?
I don't disagree. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I think that Scarlet Cascable was more a Thief 2. If I wouldn't have known, I would have looked at it. I would have been like, yeah, this must be a Thief 2 mission. And it won Thief 1 contest, so it's fair. Yeah, anything we need to add to that?
I'm good to go on to next if you are.
I think I'm good.
Yep. Yeah, so Eminil, or however we spell your name wrong, thanks for that. Of course, there's more on the forums. I think there's some interesting points by Purgator and stuff like that. But yeah, we don't read out the comments below that. So the next topic. So now let me do the magic. Look, it gets white, and now the new topic is red. Ooh, yeah, because I found an interesting comment on Reddit, and it was
tired after playing Thief.
Yeah, and maybe Jake, you want to read that out if you're fine with that.
Absolutely. Dangerous Links 5576 says, tired after playing Thief. So, hello, I just wanted to ask from the only one who feels incredibly tired after playing one Thief Gold mission. I don't know why, but I have that in other immersive sim games. I don't have that in other immersive sim games. I like the game, but I feel like I'm playing it in style, steals everything that isn't attached to a wood, is not really rewarding, like in Dishonored, for example. Quite ironic about Thief game if you think about it. Nevertheless, I just want to know if there's someone like me here.
No. It's just the answer. No, I just write that in the comments. No, you are alone.
Period. Yep.
I think he has to stop playing while he's on a treadmill.
Yeah, something like that. Or maybe was it Eminil or was it Ashley on our community Discord who plays Thief on a strange setup in the living room on a small TV far away. She sent a photo once in our Discord chat, and that looked. That was like, what? I cannot imagine to play Thief like that. But I would imagine to be tired after that, looking at the small screen over distance in this well lit living room. Yeah, that doesn't seem like fun. But I don't know. What I think is interesting at this question is it's not as rewarding as Dishonored, for example. I think that's the question. What do you see as rewarding?
I don't. So I haven't played Dishonored. I know Jake has, and he can probably address that directly. But I know that there are. If I'm playing a longer fan mission, I definitely have a threshold where I'm having loads of fun up to that threshold, and then I'm suddenly like, okay, I'm through for the night. I'm tired. I'm going to turn this off. And it's usually about the time I either feel like I've met the objective, but for some reason it's not ticked, or I feel like I should have like the loot requirement and now it's a chore finding the last piece. That's usually when that happens to me, but I don't usually feel that way after every mission.
That's true. I think sometimes you get to the point where it's like in a point and click adventure, where you just miss that one spot. But I think this comment here describes just like the general mission, Like I play a general mission and after that I'm exhausted. And because I don't feel rewarded. But, what is the reward? I think in Dishonored you also get those statistics, right, Jake? I don't remember it correct.
You get statistics at the end of the mission, but in Dishonored, I think the commenter could maybe follow up and clarify more. But the game has things like upgrades. So there's like a minor kind of RPG or upgrade system, because you have powers and you can upgrade your powers with collectibles in the environment, and those are permanent like throughout the game. But you can also get loot in Dishonored like in Thief, but it has the bone charms and the whale bone things that you can upgrade your powers with in Dishonored. So
yeah, and it's more in your face when you use this one thing where it shows you where
The
those
heart.
charms are and stuff. But and of course then you have like those very interesting powers you can get, like, okay, I can portal myself into a rat or into a fish, and so I can climb through this canal or whatever, which of course is cool on one thing, but for me it was always like, okay, but I would like to come here as Garrett, swim through the sewers and hear a comment.
Garrett does love his sewers.
I think that a comment by Garrett after after climbing out of a sewer or whatnot is rewarding for me, very rewarding.
I think,
even after years.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it also comes down to, and I could do a whole episode on this, but it also comes down to the fact that what you find more rewarding. So like I find Thief more rewarding because you can't just stop time and just, walk past all the enemies or, possess a rat or a fish and like swim away. Those things are cool.
Teleport.
Yeah, teleport.
Yeah, you're really disempowered.
Cool. But like in Thief, like you have tools, like you have flash bombs and you have noisemaker arrows and you have gas arrows and stuff like that, but they're A, very limited, and B, like they have a certain utility. You can't just you can't throw flash bombs like, in Dishonored your magic regenerates to a certain point, so you can teleport infinitely. But in Thief you can't teleport your way out of it. So it's just a different experience because you're more disempowered in Thief.
Sorry. May I add, like you have this ability where you can see through walls and see what directions the people are looking at.
Yep.
and I think it's way more rewarding in Thief, where you just have your ears maybe, and you have to wait. Okay, this guard must be there, and of course the game is incredibly great of telling you where sound comes from. So, and when you then master a situation, without all those superpowers, just with your moss arrow maybe and whatever you use, maybe you unlight a torch. That is more rewarding than, I don't know, using your superpowers and whoa, I'm so good and clever, But sorry, Seth, you wanted to add something.
I was going to say essentially what you said, which is that like Thief rewards you for being clever, right? Thief gives you really basic tools to handle certain situations, right? You get a health potion where if you lose a little health because you tripped, you can replenish it. You got a flash bomb, so if you accidentally get caught, you can run away or blackjack them. Other than that, your tools are like really, really limited to specific uses. You can put out a torch, you can make the floor quiet, right?
Or you have that eye, you can throw, but you have to throw it. You maybe have two, but you have to throw them, and it's a hit or miss. Maybe it rolls into a corner where you cannot actually see like the guards or whatever, and then it's there, and you have to pick it up again. But then you put yourself in danger.
Yeah, Dishonored's in that weird place where it's like it's trying to be a little more like Deus Ex, as far as I can tell, where it's like, oh, you can play this game two ways. You can play it the aggressive way or the stealthy way. But I think it appears to me that it ventures more into that confused realm where it kind of rewards you more for violence than it does for being stealthy. Whereas Thief always puts you in the camp of like, okay, none of my tools are good for violence. All of my tools are good for being stealthy. I can resort to violence if I have to. I can put up a fight if I need to, but my tools are suited to remaining out of sight, remaining hidden. So I think that maybe this person feels tired when they're playing Thief because they're looking for a more action-oriented reward, whereas Thief kind of rewards you for not getting discovered. Your reward is that your playthrough is quiet, that you aren't caught. You're not running around screaming, right?
Just throw it in. So it was Ashley actually with that small TV. She says it's 4K TV, but hey, it can still be small. I've seen the pictures. And Gamified has COVID, so Gamified get well soon.
Oh no, yeah, get well.
Yeah, I hope you feel better. Man.
So sorry to interrupt, but I didn't want to forget those. But yeah, I think it comes down to that. But maybe I don't know how old this person is who wrote it, but I can imagine, like, when you grew up with newer games, modern games, that throw everything in your face, even the statistics at the end. Of course, Thief has statistics, but they are not like, hey, you were very stealthy, or you can make that out of the numbers you can see, but the game doesn't do a statistic for you in that, or a chart or anything. And of course, if you maybe then go back after playing Dishonored, of course you're missing some comfort features or some information, some statistics you like to read, but here it isn't. And yeah, but I think of course it's like Thief 1, Thief 2. What do you prefer? I'm pretty sure there are people that say, yeah, I prefer Dishonored over Thief.
I think
So, sorry, Jake, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, I think it also depends on kind of like what you said, Alex. It's a preference. It's also Dishonored makes you feel. I've played all the Dishonored games and I enjoy them, but it's a different experience because you feel it's more of a power fantasy. It's like, oh, how can I do this objective in the coolest way possible? Like, am I going to freeze time and possess a guard and make him shoot his buddy and try to do crazy things with my powers? Versus Thief is like, okay, I'm not only not stronger than the enemies, I'm actually at a disadvantage. Like the enemies are stronger than I am, or they have numbers more than I do. In Dishonored, you are better at sword combat than the enemies, whereas in Thief, like Garrett is not inherently better at sword combat than the guards.
He's a clumsy swordsman.
Right, yeah, because he's a thief. So it's just a feeling of, when I play Thief, I get this excited feeling of like being somewhere I shouldn't, doing something I shouldn't be doing, and I'm outsmarting the guards. Whereas when I play Dishonored, I get this feeling of I am a god, or I am way stronger than the guards, and I'm kind of pulling the strings of all these systems like a puppet master.
Yeah, I would totally agree on that.
But Seth, you were going to say something, I think.
I was just going to add that we were talking about statistics. So my friend who played Thief for the first time about a year and a half ago now, when he was playing Thief 2, he played them in sequence, he commented that he felt Thief would benefit from leaderboards. And my response to that was like, what the hell? What do you mean leaderboards? How can you leaderboard Thief?
Achievements!
Well, he said, and this was actually a great idea, I think. He said Thief would benefit from a huge boost in replayability if the leaderboards tracked different playstyles. Like you picked your playstyle when you start the campaign, like I want to ghost them all. And then it recorded a demo of your playthrough and put it on the leaderboard for speedrunning. So like who can speedrun whatever mission, like the Bone Horde on Expert, the fastest, who can ghost Bone Horde the fastest, you know what I mean? And I was like, that's actually a really good idea, because people do post their ghosting videos on YouTube, right? And like people compare their playstyles, and leaderboards would be a great way to do that right in the game, especially for recorded demos.
Interesting.
I don't, we have those leaderboards somehow, they are on the forums. And I think there are a lot of people that are intrigued to replay and to master missions and start, starting Thief, and then one day they like to start ghosting. And I think this happens. You don't need that feature. Of course, it's more convenient, but it's still there. You have those statistics. How long it took you, how much loot you got, how many guards you knocked out, how much damage you got. Did you find all the secrets? At least in Thief 2, it tells you. So it's there. But you just have to go the extra mile.
Oh yeah, Thief definitely does not suffer from a weak community. It's obviously got a really strong community. But what I'm getting at is that I think it's a good idea because it would aggregate those things in the main menu, and it would basically say, hey, new players, maybe you're not here yet, but you could be here. Check this out. It would encourage. I think it would steer more people towards that that style of play in the long run. Think of it as a funnel.
Emmanuel just said the replay value of OMs is almost infinite, as you can choose among dozens of playstyles. Yeah, that's what we always say. But Jack Jackson said, I feel like, to us, I feel like you missed the point with the tired after thief. I think that goes to us. No, I think we just try to find out, because the post was not very clear defining what he meant by more rewarding. And we just tried to find some reasons for that. And that is our idea of what is more rewarding and maybe dishonored for this person. And of course, it's the Taffers talk, so we can go wherever we want. Hey, strip clubs. How do you like them?
I've never been, to be honest.
I will say, just to maybe put a point on the tired after thief, I see what he's talking about when it comes to missions like the Thieves Guild, when you do it for the first time and you're not super clear where to go and you're wandering around. That can be exhausting when missions take an hour and a half. Lost City, even I like this mission, but Sabotage's Soul Forge can be time consuming and things like that. Although that's obviously the climax, the final mission of the game, so maybe it should be. But yeah, definitely some of the missions.
Yep, but I think that's what we said at the beginning. Like, I think, Seth, you mentioned that. Like, after some missions, you get tired after a while. Or was it Take It Easy on the chat who said sometimes I just want to, finish the mission, as small as possible and knock out all the guards, which is actually my average playstyle.
Same,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, but I think we agreed on that. But I think the more interesting thing of this comment was like, what is the reward? And how what do you think is more rewarding? So yeah.
Well, what are you looking for when you play, Alex? What do you want to get out of it? That's kind of what it is, right? The reward is what you want to get out of it because it's so open-ended.
I try to knock out all the women in the mission. And yeah, because I'm kidding. This can only go bad for me when I go on with this.
Help, bail me out now.
And it's a live stream. Damn it, I cannot even cut it out. I don't know. That is like, if you love someone really from your heart, from the bottom of your heart, you cannot tell exactly why you love this person, because you love this person with all their great abilities but even for their flaws. You love the flaws of the person you love as well. So,
Alex, are you proposing to me?
No, there's too many flaws I don't like. You're not next. So, no, but what I want to say is, so I just love Thief. So I cannot point out like it's this and that what I'm looking for. Since since Thief has so many approaches, sometimes I just like a good run through a maze, and sometimes I just really like the story and atmosphere. It's depends on what I'm looking for. Do I want a simple job? Just steal something and get out, or do I really want something where events change and it's up to me what I want. Yeah. So I don't go into a mission in general, like I'm looking for this in Thief in general, but since there are so many fan missions, I can choose like, today I feel like, I want to play a campaign. And today, let's go for one horror mission today, But there's not that general thing I'm looking for.
Just that magic, like you said, like love. When you're in it, you can't describe it.
Yeah, of course I can tell, the woman I love, there's no one, but if it would be, she's good at that. But, it's not that one thing, because it's the whole thing, because I love her. And I love Thief.
True, agreed.
And the sex is great.
With Thief, of course.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you sneaky bastard.
Ooh, the blood! It just turns my poor tummy.
Inside at last, it was more.
Inside at last has a whole new meaning.
Taffer.
Stealth Doc said, came online just to hear the cancel-worthy joke.
Oh, no.
Yeah, hi, Stealth Docs. The smartest Alex I know.
Jake, what are you looking for when you play a thief mission? We never got what you're looking for.
I thought of that because I don't see. I like some of the horror missions, and I like some of the the burglary missions, and I don't know. It's just this feeling of I like that feeling of not knowing and discovery, and I like the secrets, and I like that feeling of seeing something and being able to do it. Oh, can I go here? Can I mantle this? Can I? One thing that comes to mind is in Masks encasing the joint when you get to the third floor. There's that beam above you, and you look up, and you're like, oh, can I get up there? And you can get up there, and obviously you can walk around all the rooms. So I love those moments in Thief. That feeling of like you can see it, you can do it. There's secrets. There's just multiple ways to do something. I think that's always been thrilling to me in games. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, even if it's whether it's a horror mission or a quote unquote burglary mission. So
yeah, I think I'm looking for the same thing. Like when I play Thief, I think I'm looking for exploration. Like above anything else, I think I want whatever mission I'm playing to show me maybe something I haven't seen before or just something really interesting, and then give me a chance to navigate the space with constraints. Like that's really what the guards are, right? They're constraining your exploration. They're constraining how you move. So I guess at the end of the day, Thief is kind of a game about like moving through a space with constraints. So it's a simple premise. Kind of, yeah. It's a really simple premise, but that's what makes it so easy to execute, right?
We talked about that because speaking of stealth dogs in the episode with him, we talked about how what stealth games are in general, and of course they are puzzle games. You have this huge puzzle, with different layers and different objects, and you have to find a way through it. But you have many options to do it.
God, I never knew I was a puzzle gamer, and I never expected to be considered one.
Yeah, puzzle solved. But stealth dogs, feel free to join us if you want, because one of the next topics will be other stealth games. So you can come jump into the voice channel if you want and be part of this amazing experience here. No, but Seth, I think that you're totally right with your approach or what you're looking for. I think maybe sometimes you can think of something, but when someone says it, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
To solve this.
Thank you for agreeing.
Yeah, it happens rarely, but
I can die in this moment and be happy.
Yeah, that was that's when you started being a part of this podcast. That was what you were looking for, right? Just
I came here
being agreed by me.
Yeah, I'm here as your biggest fan, right? I'm looking for. I want to speak specifically with you.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, everyone, now kiss. No.
No, it's not that I'm agreeing. Like, oh yeah, I feel the same. all along.
He won't propose to me. He won't return my kisses.
Like, have you ever heard someone say "I love you" and someone just says "thanks"? Like that kind of thing.
I'm a thief, so I will steal your heart. And
it happens to me every day.
But
I think you are the only one with a is it a fiancé even, right?
Yes, it's a very long engagement.
Yeah, but at least that one step.
We try. We have 2 fur children.
Yeah, and where's the dogs? Do you kill them all the time before the podcast now?
Okay, well, believe this or not, but I as a rabid Thief fan, I invested in something that's like a main selling point of the game. I invested in a door.
In a what?
A door.
A door.
There's a door behind me now.
There wasn't.
And there wasn't before.
So you bought a door.
There wasn't before, but now there's a door.
Okay. Guys, you have to know that Seth in general has a room that looks like from the mid-ages. It's all wooden, And there are old weapons somewhere, and he improves and improves. So yeah, that's really nice. All the effort,
I try.
all
I'm
the effort
imagining you.
just to talk to me.
I'm imagining you cycling through your inventory until you get the door, and then right clicking to drop the door, like where you need it to
Right
go.
click to place the door.
Yeah, right click to place the door so it's in place.
It's the door to the bedroom.
No, I'm in the. My office is actually the kitchen, which is very convenient at lunchtime. But previously, there was no barrier between the office/kitchen and the living room. So typically, the dogs would only be a room away, and somebody would walk by and they would get really loud. So we put a door up.
Oh, that's really great. So and now you're always like when you're entering the kitchen from the office, and your fiance, she's in the kitchen and she hears that lock picking sound, and then you just smash it in like the intro.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually just a recording of me entering the kitchen.
That would cause some problems with the timing.
It's expensive to replace the door every time we do a podcast.
I think it's so, and you always do it in the same way.
Some people never learn.
No, I
it's
mean, it's amazing
yeah.
that you can redo it. But Jake, you wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, we have some interesting comments in the chat. Ashley J says topic idea: more undercover like missions. I like that.
Damn, I loved Undercover.
Post it in the topic ideas channel, please.
I'm already excited. I already have things to say, but I'll stow them for that day.
We'll I think we'll consider that, right? I mean, that's I like that for sure.
I'm just thinking of were there many fan missions that did that? There are some, but maybe someone can comment on that if you know.
Oh,
Maybe
and oh, sorry, Alex. Good.
go on.
Oh, I was going to say another thing. Jack Jackson has to say, if you check the comments at the Reddit post, one of the issues mentioned, stealing doesn't feel so rewarding. Sure, if there's some gold beside, I will go for it. But the more convoluted it gets, the less attracted it becomes because of the labor, time, and stress I have to put into it. I'm not the biggest fan of labyrinths, puzzles, hidden rooms. I think he's talking about Tired of Thief.
But we don't read the comments on purpose, because that would influence stuff, and yeah, that's the concept. So we're not.
Don't want to steal anybody's ideas or let them subconsciously,
Yeah, we want to come up with our own stupid thoughts.
Exactly.
That's the premise, and I think we're pretty good at that. Like last time when we were just talking about the ideas of how a new Thief installment could be, and then Gamified needed to redirect us.
Well, there's a problem here that's inherent to this podcast, and that's that I could listen to Alex's sable voice literally forever. And if we gave him an excuse to read every comment and every thread, I would sit here forever listening to him. So it's just a bad idea.
Yep. So, Stealth Dogs, the invite still is there. If you want to come on, just join us. We would be happy. But yeah, so basically, are we tired after Thief? Yes, I think especially some missions like Lost City, I was exhausted. I think on the Let's Play, you could hear and see that. And I think when you go into Soulforge for the first time, it can be exhausting. Yes, so yeah, I can see it, but I think it's not for us at least the reward system. I think that's the result of our discussion. Would you agree?
Can't disagree.
So the next topic is something I wanted to talk about this for years, actually, and it came to my mind yesterday. And it is, so now I have to make this magic happen here. Shopping list. So because what I always found interesting whenever I'm in a shop before a mission in Thief 1 or 2. I'm always wondering, like, what would other players buy? What is the average things you're looking for, if it's available, of course. But maybe Jake, you can start. Like, what are you when you have a shop, and what are you usually taking with you when you have the option?
Well, I think that water arrows are, usually pretty useful, so I try to stock up on some water arrows. I guess it also depends on what the mission gives me to start out with, but I at least maybe 3 or 4 moss arrows. I usually buy some water arrows and at least like 1 or 2 flash bombs. Sometimes it depends on the mission. I remember playing the game for the first time. There was one mission, I can't remember which one, where I bought rope arrows and there wasn't opportunities really to use them. But yeah, like I want some. Definitely go for those moss arrows. A couple of water arrows, and I would say 1 or 2 flash bombs if they're available. And then I think I usually avoid noisemaker arrows in the first game because they're not. At least for me, noisemaker arrows don't work as well in the first game, but in the second game they work a lot more. Try not to blow all my money on just gas arrows or mines or stuff like that. But that's just me. What about you guys?
Before we go on, let's say hello to Stealth Dogs. Welcome and thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Hey.
That's a nice surprise. Yeah, that's. I think the next topic will be perfect for you. And yeah, we always like having you. But I just need to make you a bit louder for the stream. So yeah, maybe I don't know if you're up to the question we're just talking about, Stealth Dogs. What is your shopping list for Thief 1 or 2?
Shopping list?
Yeah, what if you have a shop before the mission starts? What are you usually taking with you? From the tools?
Oh, I'm a big fan of cheese, so absolutely the flash bombs. They're the first thing I will look for, and shortly after that, water arrows. And if I haven't got any moss arrows, then I'll grab a couple of those because it's all about the cheese stealth for me. I don't care about disrupting guards and knocking them out using flash bombs. Big fan of that.
I can agree, of course. But what I found interesting, Jake, you said water arrows. How many do you use? Because in general, you have I would say at least 6 they give you, or maybe 10 already. They are usually already in your arsenal. But how many do you take?
It depends.
Yeah, there's never enough. I agree, and it also depends. I know Lord Bafford's the first mission in Thief gives you I think 20 to start out with. They give you a lot. So in that mission, it's I don't need to buy all of them because they give you so much. But in certain missions, I don't know if this is just me, but in certain missions where I sometimes put out torches in certain places to kind of indicate where I've been, because I'm in general, I just I don't know, I feel like water arrows, it's always nice to have a few of them because you just more than you need. It's
in the Thief games, at least the first 2, which serve a dual functionality of taking up both enemies and changing the environment.
That's true. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, with the zombies in the first game, and then with the robotic enemies in the second, for sure.
But you have to convert the resource, right? You have to have holy water to use them on enemies.
Yeah, but I think if you cannot buy them, you are hoping for okay, if there's zombies in this mission, the creator will maybe somewhere put some.
He'll take pity on me and put a holy water font.
Yeah, or some bottles somewhere. That for me, that's always the thing when there's a city mission or something, because what I aim first is rope arrows. I at least need to have 3, in best cases 5, for the situation that there maybe is a huge church, for example, and then there may maybe 5 beams, at the ceiling. And you can see that that's used very often. Oh, if I rope up there at the end, then there is a secret passage or something like that. So I want to be prepared for that situation, and I love roping. So rope arrows is the first thing I aim for, and then it's flash bombs. Because I totally agree with you, Stealth, that, first of all, they are fun, they are very useful, and I don't care for, if I ghost or not. But water arrows I usually never take with me, because I think when it's like 4, okay, I never use water arrows, actually, even if there are zombies. But
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's interesting with the different approaches, because for me it's like, I would kill them with the sword, or ignore them and run from them, and then they will start catching me at a certain point.
I think it's really because when I first played the Thief games, I was still quite young, and so the robots and the zombies traumatized me to the extent that I would never go at them with a sword. So I just wanted to stay well away from those things and use water arrows from a distance, if at all possible.
That's actually true with me as well, but I would say it changed over 22 years of playing Thief. So
funny how a couple of decades will do that.
Yeah, just a couple of decades, but it's like rope arrows for me and flash bombs and a healing potion if the money is there, and if I have the money and it's available and I don't need anything else, a gas arrow.
I kind of feel like gas arrows are a scam.
No, they are amazing. They can take out torches, and they can take out several guards at one.
But when do you ever use a $500 arrow to take out a torch when you can use a $50 arrow to take out a torch?
Because I didn't take water arrows with me. and the gas arrow is a way better weapon. Like if there's really a guard that doesn't change position, he's just looking into one direction, and you don't have a flash bomb anymore or whatever. You can knock out a guard without killing him from a far distance.
So Alex is a Sigma thief who uses gas arrows to take out torches.
No, I don't, but you could.
If you're gonna do it in style.
I just wanted to serve the theory of stealth dogs. Like, it has two purposes as well. But of course, the best thing is to do like, there's a guard and he's annoying and he's looking in the wrong direction or whatever, and so I can take him out from far away.
Well, in that, I'll support you in the gas arrows thing. I'm kind of with Seth a little bit in that they are expensive, but there is many times when I've taken out 2 guards, or I think I recall a time when I took out 3 guards. I may have it recorded somewhere, but if the guards are clustered together, you can sometimes take out multiple guards with one gas arrow without even having to actually like throw the flash bomb and get in there. And sometimes it's easier because they don't have to be facing the flash bomb. If you throw a flash bomb, they all just have to be within gas range, if you will. So it's really fun to take out multiple guards with a gas arrow. It's like one of those fun things I think in Thief.
Totally agreed. I think the flash bombs as well fun for that. Like if they are like in a triangle and you throw them in the middle, right, and then you bump.
Exactly. Yeah.
But of course the gas arrow has the thing that you can, if you are a guard is following you, you can take them out, even knock them out, even if they are alerted, and you can from a huge distance knock someone out, and that I think is amazing. It's like a blackjack from far away.
I think a problem for me is that I have quick save bound to my mouse, and as a result of being able to quick save and quick load so easily, I've kind of stopped relying on a lot of tools in Thief, and I tend to like primarily use my blackjack. And when I'm shopping, the first thing I buy is health potions because I just don't want to. Yeah, more or less. First of all, I know I'm going to take fall damage 4 times throughout the course of the level.
Yeah, me too.
Second of all, I'm going to get into fights with guards because I'm not an expert, right? Like I'm a bit of a clumsy Garrett. I play a clumsy Garrett. So I tend to buy health potions first, flash bombs second, because flash bombs are a convertible resource. You can blind guards or you can kill undead with them. So funny that Stealth Docs would mention that about water arrows, because that's how I feel about flash bombs. And then I'll often take at least one fire arrow because that's kind of an easy out in most scenarios where there's like weird enemies that don't take permanent damage from conventional weapons. And then after that, I'll load up on water arrows and holy water because those are the convertible resources for other enemy types. So I find it funny that like water arrows are at least like they don't factor into everyone's shopping list. They factor into some people's shopping list for some reasons.
But the thing is, and that's the other thing, because normally, what do you find during the level?
Oh, you find water arrows in every sink.
Yeah, right, and moss arrows maybe. But finding rope arrows is even rare, and finding gas arrows is, I think most levels don't have them. So so if you invest the money in a gas arrow, you still have a huge chance of getting more water arrows during the play.
Rope arrows is a good point. If I look at my inventory and my starting inventory has less than 2 rope arrows, I'll buy rope arrows because I want that failsafe in case I screw up and shoot it into metal.
Yeah, or you have to get up somewhere where you need several rope arrows.
Yeah.
Then
sometimes you need 3.
Yeah, you need to be prepared for certain situations. But someone just asked what we think about the eye.
The eye.
I mean, how was it?
Orb.
Yeah, the scouting orb from Jack Jackson. What do you think about the scouting
I was going to
orb?
be like, what do I think about the eye? This is in the Thief 1 lore.
No, the scouting orb. Sorry.
My primary interest in the scouting orb is dropping it on the ground in front of me and looking at Garrett.
Yeah. But Stealth Dogs, what are your thoughts?
I found it was a really interesting tool when the levels were completely new to me. So I'm thinking about specifically the Sabotage at Soulforge mission, the last mission in the entire Thief game. The first time I played through that, you've got factory sounds all around you. You can't always tell where enemies are coming from. I was seriously tense when I first played that mission, and having a scouting orb, I was just like, I need to throw this thing into a room just to get a glimpse of what this room has, because it was almost overwhelming after the Masks mission, which we played twice, so we were really familiar with that level, and then it throws you into this factory hell to figure out all of the challenges therein. So in the context of playing Thief 2 for the first time, the Scouting Orb is a really great tool to get a heads up on what's coming, what's around the corner. Later on, when you're more familiar with the game, it's kind of a novelty item. Like Seth said, you use it to look at the character models or, put it in interesting places. In fact, there is a sort of Easter egg in...
Shoals Gate.
Yes, the Shoals Gate. You throw a scouting orb over the wall that you start at, and you can see a couple of zombies doing a dance. It's good fun.
Classic. But I totally agree, especially at Soulforge. I remember when I think I did. No, I didn't do Let's Play of that. But there's that when you go to the left, there's a lot of I would say ovens and stuff like that, and there are many children of Karas running around, and there. As you said, with all the sounds around, you cannot really tell where they are. Are they moving, or in which direction are they looking? So if you come around the corner, and I remember that I used it there a lot. Yeah,
and they all use the same voice. That Karas's voice permeates that mission.
Yep.
The antagonism is just so built up by that point. I'm just thinking of, the very first time I played it, and even when I play it again, even though I've played it multiple times, it's still just that tenseness of the situation and the fact that sound is kind of an unreliable ally. You hear a Karas's voice and you're just like, there were several times where I just thought, oh God, they found me, because it just came over. It came over the loudspeakers, and I thought, oh, there's a child of Karas somewhere, and I just didn't hear it or see it.
Even Garrett comments on that, right? He says, just keep prattling on.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember it was a mission done by Psychosis for one of the contests. And it's taking part between Thief 1 and Thief 2. And you can see, the transition from the Hammerites to the Mechanists. So he has done that really, really well because there are like old Tamborite windows on the churches lying on the floor and new Mechanist windows installed. And then there is one area where two mechanists are discussing the new movement, and then they have this new machinery, the Children of Charis, and then the other says like, but do we really need to take his voice for those things? Like, isn't it a bit embarrassing? And I always have to think of that, especially in Soulforge, as you said, this voice is over the place. And that's very interesting what you said. Like suddenly, sound was a reliable a friend of yours. You could trust it many ways. But now it's like the opposite. And I think that's very interesting. So yeah, the scouting orb has a purpose.
So I had a thought maybe of what could make it better, and I'm thinking specifically to other stealth games that have cameras and stuff like that. What if you could actually shoot it instead of dropping it where the range is limited? What if you could like shoot it on an arrow?
Shut up, Jake. I was just gonna say that.
Stick it to a wall, like and then like you could get more vantages and more places instead of having to be within throwing range. You could be within shooting range. I think that would make it more useful. What do you think?
I was literally gonna say I wish I could strap a scouting orb to an arrow and shoot it across the map.
Yeah, for example, like where you have to follow mostly, Garrett just need to prepare the city before he follows her. So he has all his cameras all over the city, and then he can just switch around. A bit of Five Nights at Freddy's.
If Garrett's being super smart, he could just like stealthily shoot her coattails so she doesn't notice.
Yeah, of course. If there is a head-sized camera on your back.
It's a sticky cam now.
Yeah, of course. It was the mid-ages. They were used to that. Like, it must be a flu or something.
My purse is feeling awfully heavy this evening.
Garrett just has like a wall of like CRT, like Sony Trinitron monitors. He's like, "Why? I can watch the city with these monitors."
Like in the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
at the end,
exactly. Yeah, when he has the cell phone thing rigged up with the room with the cell phone signals, you can see everything.
I think we have some new themes for the next Thief game. So maybe Embracer Group if you listen. Speaking of Stealth Dogs, what approaches did you like from our last episodes about our ideas for a new Thief game?
I think it was. Forgive me, I'm sorry. I'm absolutely rubbish with names. I think it was Seth's ideas or Skeki's idea. The idea that Garrett was basically an introductory character and not sort of the guy that you're following along.
I think that was me.
Yeah.
I
feel that I don't like the idea, so it must have been Seth's idea.
Yeah, probably. But the beauty of that, you see, is that I think that a lot of what was said there was very sort of. It goes to the core of almost respecting what's come before while acknowledging the fact that it's been, what has it been? It's been 20 years. It's been 20 years. The Thief games, as they were, there has to be some change. There has to be some evolution. And I think that, and I'm probably going to get killed for saying this, but I think that a lot of ideas that Thief 2014 brought to the table could have worked with better level design.
Of course.
And
I think we all agree.
Yeah, like there's a lot that's in Thief 2014. The way that it's very handsy. You have a very handsy interface where you're opening drawers and picking locks and looking at running your fingers along the backs of paintings to find secrets, and there's a lot that's sort of very bodily engaging in Thief 2014 that I just did not feel at all with Thief Deadly Shadows. Thief Deadly Shadows tried to give Garrett a body, and it kind of got in your way, even if you switched to first person, because you sort of mounted a ledge and you thought you were there, but the physics in the game just didn't register it properly and you ended up sliding off or something silly like that. I think Thief 2014 did Garrett better in terms of giving him a body and something that you sort of felt you were engaging with on a physical level, almost a more immersive level for sure. So there's lots of things really in that whole discussion. Sorry, I'll just close up this point. Sorry, I know I could go on forever about this, but I think that the idea of having the girl at the end of Thief 3 who he meets, and it's sort of implied that he's going to take her under his wing and train her, being the main protagonist, I think that is absolute gold. Yes, please take that idea, run with it, because
I'm slipping. We had that. No, I totally agree on that. That would be a cool theme, but I still think like there's so many flaws with it. First of all, it's not Garrett, and as I said, why would you not play as Garrett? And then a female protagonist, of course, is way more common today, which is good. But I think for a series that maybe wants at least to have one successful game in its whole lifespan, maybe it's a big, too big of a risk.
Oh, controversial.
No, I'm not
That's a
saying
hot take.
No, I'm just saying that, it's not my opinion. Like, but I would, if I would look at it from a producer perspective, in terms of success, then I would maybe say, oh, this could be, it's not my opinion. I don't say that. I don't have a problem with playing as a woman.
You're thinking from a marketing perspective, it might
Yes,
be
of
more
course.
appealing. I can understand. I can understand that perspective. At the same time, I think that one of the big tragedies of Thief is that it's a fantastic game, and the studio that made it was shuttered. We can talk forever about the influence of it and how amazing it was, and how how it's become a cultural icon within the gaming community. But we're kind of a niche crowd of weirdos. We like Thief a lot. Those who are in the cult get it. They understand. But it's trying to sort of bring other people in and get them to sort of see things like. And I actually had an angle on this from another perspective. I'm a big Doctor Who fan. Doctor Who is a show that was cancelled like 20-something years ago. It was shut out completely. And then they brought it back 20 years later. Sorry, it was cancelled in 1987, I think.
Yeah, and Eccleston was the best Doctor.
Eccleston was the best Doctor, but they
my
brought it back.
year.
They brought it back 20 years later, but it was not the same show. It was a different show. It evolved things, but it still kept references to what had come before. And I think that if you had something like that approach for Thief, where you have the thing that came before, you have all of the lore, you have Garrett, because Steve Russell, he's a fantastic actor. There's absolutely no reason why he wouldn't want to pick up Garrett's voice again. It would be great to sort of have all of that, but at the same time, you want to bring new people on board. You want to design a game that's for the modern era. Not something that's based on something that was made 20-something years ago. You want to have an evolution while paying homage to what's come before and acknowledging that it's there. And that way you sort of have a preservation and a respect, an enduring respect for the things that have happened, while looking forward to things that are to come, and offering that insight, that chance for people to get on board. Because what happened with Doctor Who is people watched the new series who had never seen Doctor Who before, and then they started watching the old episodes and enjoyed them. And I think the same thing could happen if that approach was done with the next Thief game, if that is the thing that's going to happen.
I would agree on that point, yes. But I actually like the idea that we had. Ashley just said that the girl or nobody, and in our last discussion, we came up with that idea that it's maybe just a stranger. And I think in that case, you can choose between a woman or a girl or a man at the start. And then, like that he stumbles upon maybe Garrett's old hideout or something like that. And then he goes on with that legend and finds out more and more about this. That is, in my opinion, because I don't see Garrett as this teaching character, That's the problem I have with the other idea. Of course, it was like the idea started in Thief 3 at the end, but I don't see him as that, He's not a Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, but it's a perfect circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Jake. I'll let you in here, Jake. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say I see what you mean, Alex, in terms of like have him be like, if he's like not quite like an Obi-Wan type guy, maybe you have a situation where instead of having him like explicitly train somebody, you have him like working with somebody like on a job, and like Garrett has to bail them out because Garrett needs to get his money, and the only way he can get his money is by bailing this character out. So it's kind of like you kind of bring that full circle with like in the first game he does something that's good, and in the second game as well he does something good that's kind of, he does a good thing for a selfish reason. So maybe you can kind of explore that angle. I don't know, like.
But that's totally Grandpa Garrett. Like, oh no, I need my my retirement money, and I can't go out on myself.
But people are like that in real life. I don't think that's.
Then I would say, like, okay, Garrett feels like he's too old, but he still sees like that the world still needs someone with his abilities, and then maybe he's like, okay, now and there's that girl or whoever it is, and I can teach them.
Not even. So like, I would do it as like Garrett is getting older and he's having a hard time stealing and he can't make a living anymore. So I'd do it more as like, no, I would love that. I would love like Garrett is an aging protagonist and he's like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how much longer I can pay my rent for. Like I need to train someone because I need someone to take care of me. And that realization that he can't be alone forever.
At the beginning, you see him. At the beginning, you see Garrett like, he's like going on a tour, with his wheelchair, and then there's a really dark place, but you always hear that squeaking sound like wiki 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 wiki.
Hey, look,
I mean, if Garrett knocks all the guards out, he's giving them all permanent concussions. Like eventually they have to replace the guards. The guards are getting younger. Garrett's getting older. Like, come on, guys.
That was in Wolfenstein 2, right? Where you play as the beginning. You are in the wheelchair. That was actually fun. A shooter with the wheelchair movement. But Stathox, you wanted to say something.
I was just going to say Seth's ideas just speak to my core. I love it. I love the idea of an older Garrett. I love the idea of him still being in this profession and still and just being almost like a character who's gone through an arc, like he's got someone that he's been taken care of for 10 plus years, however long it takes to train a master thief, and there could just be this back and forth between him and the main character. Oh yes, I'm here for that. Absolutely.
That's actually great. Yes, I believe, but I think for the old fans it's not nice, or they don't want to see Garrett getting old. Or not being able to steal. I think that's not. Yeah, that's really like like Grandpa Garrett. And he's too old to do things. Or someone when he goes out stealing, someone says, "Don't forget your scarf," or it's not nice. But I can see that interaction, of course, like Garrett the Master Thief who's teaching someone. I see the appeal in that.
Well, here's a wild idea. Sorry, Self. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say someone said that Garrett is a cynical character who cares mostly about himself, not a good role model or teacher, but we've seen instances where Garrett reluctantly agrees to activities that are contrary to his character. Yes, that's called character growth. That's what we see over the course of the 3 Thief games, and we're building up from a moment of, I don't care about anyone or anything, I just want to steal, and I want to steal from rich people and take it all for myself. He goes from that to saving the world to embracing something about his role in trying to stop the end times in Thief 3, and then realizing, do you know what? Like, we can just equalize the playing field. No more keepers, no more anything. I am the keeper, and that's the arc. He embraces the destiny that was laid out for him across all of the games, which is something he was never prepared to do.
He's the one true keeper.
Can see the charm in that.
It's full circle.
Yeah, or he's like more like the acting keeper,
What's that Batman quote? You die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the bad guy? Something like that.
Yeah.
So what if Garrett's the bad guy in the new game?
What would he be doing?
No. So don't do bad things to Garrett, but I think
don't do bad things to Garrett.
Why? He never did anything wrong. So
no, I'm strictly in the older Garrett camp.
But I think that's Stathox's idea is actually something where I could say, yeah, I can see that, and it's really true to the lore, and gives Garrett still a huge or big purpose in this world.
Before the keepers unfairly kill him.
The keepers don't exist anymore. They're all gone. That's the.
But why? Well, why? They want him to join all the time. You know, so why couldn't he accept? You know, he's more mature now, and he can see, like, you know, he's too old.
He dies tragically in a slow fall potion accident.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the Keeper Order exposed at the end of Thief 3? All of their magic was neutralized. Like they are now.
They use the. Yep.
Yeah. They have
the final glyph. They use the final glyph.
Yes, and that was and it just neutralizes everything. They have no more prophecy text. They have no more use of glyph magic. Garrett has effectively taken out the last piece that was imbalancing the world, because he took out the first one, which was the Trickster, the second one, which was Karis, and then the third one, which was the Keepers, and they were just too arrogant to see that they were having a negative impact on the world because it's just too much power.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he needed to do that in order to destroy Gamal, the Hag. He needed to destroy the glyphs. Yeah, you're exactly right, Stealthox. At the end of the game, all of their hideouts, which were previously hidden with glyph magic, get exposed. Their magic is useless, and Garrett is, you know, the one true keeper because he can kind of because he's the one who's been actually keeping balance the whole time without using magic. So.
Yep. Okay, I think we got a nice distraction on that, but I can see the point in that. I like it. The guests bring the better ideas, in my opinion, actually, for this topic. But I think now let's talk about other stealth games, because I thought about that because it was revealed that Terry Brocious will play an important voice acting role in Gloomwood, which is actually amazing. Yeah. So, if for people who don't know, it's like the voice of Shodan or Victoria, and it's amazing. Her voice doesn't age, right? It still feels like the Victoria voice, really. Like, you know, I just compared to Stephen Russell's voice for Garrett for the teaser trailer that was used once for Thief 2014, and her voice is still fresh.
I mean, I don't sense a tremendous difference between either of them, but maybe that's just me. I was very excited to hear that Terry is going to be in Gloomwood. I think it's just really perfect.
Yep.
And so it came to my mind, like other stealth games, because I remember the discussion I had with Nex on the chat private, where I asked him, like, do you play other stealth games? And he answered, no, I don't. If there would be any good one, I would. So something like that.
Oh,
Thief is the only game.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was before our episode, Stealth Dogs, that we did. Because I think I was asking if he wants to join this episode. So then we were discussing that. So now Jake and Seth are, I would say, in quotes, new to the podcast for a year. So I was wondering, like, what other stealth games do you maybe play, you two guys? Because I think the Stealth Dogs, we know what you play.
Well, I know Jake has a few games he feels very strongly about, so I'll give this to him.
Sure. So probably my favorite stealth game outside of Thief is probably Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, which is the third game in the Splinter Cell series. And I know that the main director, creative force, Clint Hawking, behind the game was very much inspired by immersive sim design. For those not familiar with Splinter Cell, you basically play as a American secret agent who kind of has unlimited authority to kind of go around the world and do what he needs to do to sort of protect American interests, based on kind of Tom Clancy, inspired by Tom Clancy novels and kind of those kind of things. So spies and plots to take over the world and kind of things like that. And I just think it's a phenomenal game because it learned, I think, a lot of the lessons that Thief learned. The importance of light and shadow, the importance of having a good feedback system, because it has its own version of kind of the light gem. It has its own sound feedback that lets you know how much noise you're making and how much noise it would take to alert a guard. levels are not as big as Thief, but levels are fairly big with lots of different entrances and exits and objectives to accomplish. And yeah, I highly recommend it. It's in third person, but yeah, I mean, different vibe, like I said, because it's got that spy military modern angle. But I think Chaos Theory is one of the games that comes closest to touching Thief 2 for me.
Stealth, what is your opinion on the game in the series?
On what one? Sorry, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory.
Yeah.
It's often cited by a lot of people who enjoyed Thief. I know that for sure. I have to be honest, I haven't played it since I tried it, and I kind of just bounced off it, which is going to sound awful because I should have persisted a little, perhaps. But I know that certainly in terms of the amount of things that you could do with the character and with the gear that you had, it was incredibly ambitious. It was a big step after Splinter Cell 1, which I have played through, and it's I mean, like, Chaos Theory is regarded by many Splinter Cell fans in the community, I think, as the best one that has been made.
Yep.
And yeah, where you said it was ambitious, it had that system like where the environment sound was affecting like how loud you could be in running, and when the guards could hear you. That was actually a really cool thing.
Yeah, loud machinery would mask your footsteps and stuff. Ambient sound, like.
Yeah, that was so impressive, and it was if we could have had that in Thief.
I know.
But I think they tried.
Yeah, it's worth noting the only other stealth game series I know of that's done that is the Sniper Elite series, where they have audio cover.
I just played Sniper Elite 5 recently.
What did you think?
Because it's the first time I played it, Sniper Elite part, because it was on Xbox, on the Game Pass. And so I thought, okay, I would try this. I really liked it. It lost me after a while because it felt a bit repetitive, and the levels got smaller and smaller, it felt like. Like you start, the first map is really huge, and there was like, okay, if every mission is like that, that is a challenge. That's amazing. But it lost me after a while, and then I suddenly started experimenting, without stealth, and I just shot everybody with a sniper rifle, because it didn't have such a huge impact, where you maybe attracted some guards, but the rest of the level was still doing what they do, But in general, I liked it, to be honest. I just didn't like that the German voices were not done by Germans, so I could always hear the fake accent. So that totally, that feels really strange. It would be like if a German would do a person from London.
Well, this is how I always feel whenever I hear a British voice being done by an American voice actor. We can always tell, and it's always awful.
Yeah, but imagine like they doing a totally different language, not just the accent, but it's American people doing German voices.
Wouldn't that be like Amish people?
Some of them are actually German voice actors. You can hear that, but some are not. And then it sounds, and then they always try to put in that this German anger in the voices. But I'm pretty sure that even in World War II, they didn't talk all the time like Hitler.
Yell at the loudest possible volume.
Yeah. No, but I actually liked it. But Stealth Dog, did you play the whole series?
I've played all of Sniper Elite, you mean?
Yeah.
I played through one. I got halfway. I got frustrated with it. Sniper Elite 1 is easily the roughest of the bunch because it was a new idea. It was a new series of ideas, and it was like I couldn't always tell why I'd gotten detected in Sniper Elite 1. Sniper Elite 2 onwards, I think, was a lot better. Sniper Elite 3 was when I really picked up the series again and ran with it. And of course, Sniper Elite 4 has been sitting in my queue for a while. Give us have
But a
probably.
great idea. You should follow that.
I should.
I'd love to meet him.
They'd have to make videos every once in a while, though. It's been a while.
Once in a year.
Oh dear.
And have a Patreon.
Oh yes, that too.
No, but I'm asking because what I read about Sniper Elite 5 is that it's basically like Sniper Elite 4, which isn't a bad thing, but the new game is not, no, it's not evolving enough. That's what I read about in reviews and stuff. So is that true?
I don't know. I haven't yet played Sniper Elite. I haven't yet played Sniper Elite 5, but I do know that.
Okay.
But I do know that it feels a lot like the Hitman franchise, because the Hitman franchise is trying to do this one thing really, really well. And each game you see a little bit of progression to getting that thing, exactly right. That sensation of being a guy who gets into places he shouldn't be without getting detected and just takes out one target. Sniper Elite is trying to give you that feeling of, being a hunter of various targets, and you can take out the guy that you're supposed to take out, or you can take out everyone. So I mean,
I never thought of Sniper Elite that way.
That's interesting.
Now that you've mentioned Hitman, I'm far more interested in it than I was before this conversation.
It's a very interesting comparison. I had the same thought, like, hey, I didn't see it that way, but that's actually true. So it's like they just maybe for the next installment they just change some nuances, I would say, but it mustn't be bad. So yeah, that's an interesting approach.
Well, as long as you can get the Catgirl outfit.
No, but what I don't like about Sniper Elite from the beginning is that typical American badass hero type. I think Sam Fisher was done great because his sarcastic comments, he was a cliche but a cool one. I liked it. He was believable, and with all the anger and with his daughter and stuff like that.
Sure.
But this I don't even know what his name is.
No. There's no character there. The character is the sniper rifle. That's it.
BJ Snipeskovich, and he's I don't know, his first of all, the sound, sometimes he's too quiet, the environment is too loud when he's saying something, and he's just a cliche all over the place, and he looks like a Nazi.
Do you know what?
He's batting for the wrong team.
It's basically. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say it's basically Call of Duty for stealth game fanatics.
I don't know. That's not fair. It's not just you're not put on rails. That's actually, I like the sandbox aspect, and that you can do certain targets in the way you want it. And that was actually cool. I think that's what they changed. I think in Sniper Elite 4, I saw some gameplay, and there you could actually read letters, right? When you found some information. Here, you just click on the information, and then he's like, I have this information now, and then there's a new target on the map with the new information, like, if I don't know, there is a secret weapon arsenal somewhere, so maybe you should check it out. But I like the sandbox aspect of it, actually.
I was just gonna say, just to kind of support your point, Alex, and like in terms of the protagonists and like Sam Fisher and Splinter Cell, what makes him work is, like you said, he has those like sarcastic lines, like "It's a boat, so was the last girl you set me up with," like funny stuff like that. But also, like, he treats, like, unlike say like the Sniper Elite protagonist, like he treats his job like assassinating like political leaders and like stopping, the world war as like a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Like an office job. Like he's like, I gotta go. I gotta go like steal some warheads again. You know what I mean? Which I think makes like Sam like more of a badass. He doesn't like walk away from explosions like a cool guy or something like that. He just gets it done. So.
Yep. That's true. So, but I think in Sniper Elite we can see many comparisons to different games that are true. So like the protagonist, how is he done, and then like what you said, Stealth Dogs, the comparison to Hitman. Yeah, and it's a fun game. I think, especially if it's free on Xbox Game Pass, it's really worth it.
Oh yeah, give it a shot.
I find it very interesting that we've all mentioned games with guns. Like, I don't think we've mentioned a game that is not super modern as a stealth game, have we?
Gloomwood, we could, but I think everybody on the forum is, knows
We're all
what
holding our breath
Gloomwood
waiting
is.
for that one, yeah.
But yeah, I just replayed the demo 2 days ago, and I'm so much looking forward to this game.
Same.
And what I like is because there's now that Steam Summer Festival, or what it's called, and then you can click, because and then they have
Next
demos.
Fest.
Yeah, right, and they have you could download demos from so many games. And what I really liked is that when you click on most wishlisted games, that Gloomwood is actually, I don't know, when I looked, it was at the 7th place or something from hundreds of games. That was really
It's
cool.
exciting.
Yeah, so I of course we all wish them success.
We'll expect a wave of converts then.
But what I was would interest me, did some of you play the Thief Simulator?
I did.
I didn't.
I knew. I was sure of that, but anybody else played it?
It's on my list.
Tell me about it.
So, Stathos, what is your opinion on the Thief Simulator?
Oh,
I loved it.
I mean, I get what they were. I get what they were trying to do. This I should emphasize. This is not a bad game at all. It's a good game. It just didn't speak to me, which is why I didn't put it in. I think I didn't put it in one of my videos where I talked about 15 stealth games you should own. But Thief Simulator is one of those things that keeps coming up because it's a first-person stealth game, and from what I recall of it, you have a neighborhood and you drive to different places where you could get loot from, and then you have to sort of sneak in. You have to use lockpicks or tools to get into places, and you have to you basically have to burgle things, and then you have to drive away.
Yeah, one really important element is that you have to check out the routines of the inhabitants.
Oh, is that
So-
right? Okay, I vaguely remember that. Yes.
So you could do that. You could drive to a house at different times.
Right.
Like in the morning, at night, or during the day. So you check, and then you could check out through the windows where
Yes.
the inhabitants are.
Yes. You're right. You're right. This is what killed it for me. I hated the casing.
Oh, really? I like that because you could go on, like if you evolve, you could get like those little cameras that you could put in the mailbox. So then the routines get recorded automatically. That was, I think. So first of all, it's one of those typical AA East European games where they use like the Unity engine or Unreal, which they look all the same. It doesn't matter if it's the police simulator, if it's a thief simulator, if it's bum simulator, or if it's drug dealer simulator. I played all of them. They all look the same, and they are not pretty, but in a strange way, with a certain amount of humor, if you like that, Russian humor, I would say. They are kind of fun, because they try to give you something, they don't want to be perfect, but they want to give you a nice experience with nice, interesting mechanics.
Sure.
And what I liked here is, like Garrett, he could carry all the loot in the world on him. And here you had to park your car close to the house, but you had to be aware of, if you park on the sidewalk, then maybe passengers might notice this and call the police because you're not allowed to park there. So this is a risk. When you steal a TV, you have to put it into your trunk, but you can just put certain amounts of big objects into your car and so on. So there was always this, everything you do is risky. But then you're like, do I steal this now, or maybe I come back later? And a risk versus reward thing, and that was pretty amazing in my opinion. And then you had to go back to the pawn shop and sell your stuff, but you always had to check if there's like an online eBay thing where people are looking for specific items, so you can sell them there for more money. If you are selling it directly to people who are looking for it. I think, it had many interesting mechanics, and I actually really liked it. But the second game now is the demo was out as well. It's done by different people, different studio, and I don't think that they nailed it. It's not as fun, I would say. They try to do more with, open world stuff, and it's not so much fun.
Well, you've convinced me that I should give the first one another try, for sure.
It's twerky and it has its flaws, as all those Eastern European AA games or 1A games, I don't know. But it got to me. You have to work yourself in, but I think it's really fun.
Okay. That's a fair recommendation, fair shout.
I always have to close one eye, play it like Garrett would. But Seth, are there stealth games you like? Or you are looking forward to, besides Gloomwood?
I don't know about looking forward to, but we'll get to that. So I'm glad Hitman came up. Hitman's a favorite. 1 to 3 specifically. I was going to bring a game to the table that I don't know if anyone's played. Has anyone played I'm Going In?
No.
No, I haven't. Nope.
Okay.
Stealth Dog doesn't know. That's interesting. So please explain what it is.
So,
I've never heard of it.
I'm Going In is very interesting because it's straddling a weird middle ground where it's kind of like thematically similar to Splinter Cell in that you're special agent David Llewellyn, and like you go in with guns, and you can go in guns blazing, but you have like no health, so you'll probably die in no time. So it's kind of a weird blend of like GoldenEye 007 and Splinter Cell, in that it's not really sure which camp it wants to be in, but it plays, once you get the hang of the mechanics and how the AI behaves, it plays really well as a stealth game, even though it's not strictly advertised as one. I think the tagline for IGI was think your way in, shoot your way out, which I thought was very interesting.
I remember I've seen, I don't know, I've seen a video, but I thought it was on Stealth Dogs, but obviously not. I know. I saw a video about it.
I would recommend it, like, if you like 80s movies and if you like Thief, give IGI a try and try and play it as if it's a stealth game and see what you get out of it. Because I played, there's 2 games so far in the series. There's IGI 1 and IGI 2. I played all of IGI 1, both as an action game and a stealth game. Found both rewarding. And I played IGI 2 strictly as a stealth game and found it enjoyable. Not enjoyable at all as an action game. But there's actually a third game, and this is very unusual. It's been picked up by a different studio that's going to be coming out, I think, sometime in the next year. And I can't tell, like, I can't make heads or tails of it. I don't know what it's going to be. The trailer is very confused. So I'm gonna play the third one for sure. I don't know what it's going to be like. I can't promise anything. But yeah, it looks interesting.
I think it's on GOG, right?
I think it's on IGI. IGI 2 is on GOG.
Okay.
I think IGI 1 is abandonware. Have a look around. There's copies here and there. You'll find one. But IGI 2 is definitely available paid from GOG. IGI 3 is coming out. It's listed on Steam as like an upcoming game.
Okay.
I'll see if I can find the page and link it.
It would be good if they could re-release it or at least preserve it in some form. I think.
Yeah, I wish.
There's another one out there called Stolen, which I never played, but it looked like an interesting attempt, and that was on the PS2, I think. And it's you again, like that one, you can't find it anywhere anymore. It's abandoned. Where so much stuff just gets lost to time, doesn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, especially console games are hard to get by nowadays.
It's a shame. The new game is called I'm Going In Origins. But unofficially, it's IGI
Such
3.
a stupid name. You know, like
IGI.
Going In sounds like a one of
in.
those funny indie games. You know, like with what was it with that pony or like Goat Simulator. You know, like I'm Going In could be like some pixel action game. You know, when you just hear the name, and then Origins. You know, that sounds like so big. Like it's an old mystery story or something like that.
I don't even think that the protagonist of the previous games is going to be in the new game at all. Which is even more interesting since it's called Origins.
Yeah. They should have called Goat Simulator 3 Origins.
It says in the description for the game, it says that it's a prequel to the 2000s Project IGI. So it's making a direct reference to the first game, completely omitting the second, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, it's like the next Thief game should do. Yeah, ignoring the last one.
Sure.
I think we can
I
all
get behind
agree on that. Yeah, I just recently tried to give Wildfire a chance again.
Oh yes.
And it lost me. I don't know. I don't get to, it's I don't know. It's a 2D platformer in pixel optics. It's I don't know. The mechanics are so I don't know. It's not satisfying. And I'm sorry because I like the idea of the game, but it loses me. But this time I paid money for it. So they have my money.
They deserved every penny of it.
Yeah, but it was 50% reduced, so yeah.
But then they really
I missed the title. What's it called?
Wildfire.
Wildfire.
Yeah, I think, it's a well-made game. I think it's just not for me. And then I was doing this Steam thing. I was playing the Last Ape game demo, and I didn't know that there was a game released yet last year. Actually, I was surprised by that. And then I figured I don't like stealth games. Oh, this is a real puzzle game, but it's always this hit or miss thing. Like you have to reload so much, and if you do one mistake, the whole situation is gone, and then you have to redo it all over and all over again. And I think that's a mess. But I love Ape, I like the characters and the world, but it's I don't know, and it doesn't work as that the controls are not as nice as they were back in the old ones. And yeah, but did you play it, Stealth Dogs?
Abe's Odyssey.
The last Ape game.
Abe's Exodus.
It must. No. It was released last year, as far as I know.
Oh, was this the
Soulstorm?
Was this the remake or
no?
New and tasty.
No. I don't. It's not the new and tasty thing.
Is it Soulstorm?
I think, yeah.
Right, so that's the remake of the second game. No, I haven't played it, and the reason I haven't played it is just because the old ones have a certain point of nostalgia for me. They were very unique. You sort of had everything was in a single screen, and I think that in the remakes everything sort of scrolls, right? You have more of a scrolling thing. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
So it's not that I don't appreciate all the work that was it Oddworld? Who were the developers?
Yep.
Yeah,
it's Oddworld Inhabitants.
Oddworld Inhabitants, of course.
They're also the publisher.
Yeah, yes. I appreciate all the work they did on it. I played and I finished those games back in the day, and they kind of have a very strong nostalgia pull for me. I'm not saying never, but like I didn't feel the immediate need to go to a remake for that because just because.
No, I think because the old games still work.
Yes, I think that might be part of it, but there's no doubt that it did need some kind of update for new fans to find their way in. And if people have them, that's fantastic.
What I like is the interconnectivity, like, between, basically it's like a puzzle. You have one room you have to solve. And now you have those ways in between, which are basically used for that you have a save point there. But I think it's nice that everything is interconnected, which is always cool for a game. But what it lacks is like, and that annoyed me so much, and that worked in the old games, when you wanted to crawl down a ledge. You just got to the ledge and then you pushed down and then it just worked. But here you have, sometimes it works, it doesn't. And if the controls are not 100% perfect in a game where sometimes you just have a second to do the perfect timing, to avoid an enemy, to slip past them or whatever.
The controls are all you have. And
then it doesn't work perfectly. And this gave me so many frustrating moments. And I just played the demo, and yeah, that was really, really sad, because in general the Oddworld games are amazing, and I really like it, and the characters and the stuff. And I don't think, did they have a farting button?
They did, yeah.
Yeah,
and he laughs when you fart.
And I didn't find it in the new installment, but maybe I think that was my mistake. I'm pretty sure they kept it.
I'm gonna leave a review for the game. No fart button, 0 out of 10.
Yeah, right.
I was about to say no fart, no buy.
No, but I think that was the only problem I had. Like, going down ledges was not working as I wanted it to be. Or
did you leave a review?
No.
You should go post a discussion thing. Go tell the devs. Maybe they don't know.
Nah, I'm pretty sure they listen to this here.
I hope so.
Hey, it's the biggest thief podcast out there, so.
Facts.
And the smallest. No, but yeah, it's sad. No, it was just released. It will be released on June 21st.
It looks interesting to me. I'm gonna check out the demo at the very least, because I like the original Oddworld, and this seems like it's a real nod to the original. So,
but
I'll give it a shot.
But I think it's also missing a bit of the atmosphere, because I think the look of the original ones is just, it's just
a lot weirder and darker.
Piece of art, and now it's very light. I don't know how the second game was. I didn't have it in my head, but it doesn't have the same charm. And Abe's voice is and all the voice acting is so wrong.
I haven't listened to anything because we're doing the podcast, right? So I haven't watched the trailer.
I think they tried to, like when the first games released, it was the 90s. So they maybe didn't hire professional voices for everything, so it was just a dev who was put into a booth and then he recorded it. That was fine in the 90s. And I think they tried to recreate that here. But it doesn't work with all those beautiful, amazing cutscenes. Then you have this voice. I don't know. It's and Stephen Russell is not in it, so.
Yeah, no Stephen Russell, no buy.
Yeah.
Well, so I had a question going back a little bit. Seth said earlier that he liked the first 3 Hitman games in particular. You don't like the 4th Hitman game, which is Blood Money, if I'm doing my math right?
That is correct.
Okay, so I need to hear why you don't like Blood Money. Why are you wrong, Seth? Go ahead, explain.
I played Blood Money forwards and backwards on console. I didn't play it on PC. I did, so I almost 100%ed Blood Money. The problem with Blood Money is that it just feels jank as hell. And I don't think that it lent itself very well to the other games. Like, the other games were more linear than Blood Money was. Blood Money did non-linear Hitman missions quite well. But it also made it so that, like, I could just run through the missions blasting everyone just as easily as I could walking through the missions stealthfully and playing them as intended. That's how I think they were intended. And I didn't like that they played so easily, taking the path of least resistance, which was just killing everyone. I don't think that was a step in the right direction.
I see what you mean. They definitely took from, and yeah, like Thief 2, I remember the original, or not Thief 2, Hitman 2. the original Silent Assassin is very linear because you go from like mission, like you're in, you'll be in like India and then you do another mission in India and then you'll fly somewhere else. And whereas obviously Blood Money, you're going from, they more design missions first and then the story around it, almost like Thief 1 and Thief 2. Whereas in the older Hitman games, it's more of like a linear story. I think they wanted to transform the series more into something where, yeah, you can shoot your way out, whereas maybe in like Contracts and in the first 2 games you can't. But I think they wanted to make it more of like not like a high score, but like do it your way. And yeah, you can just take the silver ballers and just kill everything, but like that's no fun. You want to make everything look like an accident and get that Silent Assassin ranking, almost like more of like a more freedom based like high score game rather than a linear stealth game that the older games were. So I see what you mean, but Blood Money is near and dear to my heart.
I haven't played either of the 2 most recent. So I haven't played the like what is it, like the board game, like the turn-based one, and I haven't played like the one that has online features yet either. So like those 2 are completely exempt from my judgment. But I really enjoyed, like, I'm a stickler for the first game in the series. I really enjoyed the first one. Second one was good. Third one was okay. Blood Money, eh.
I agree again with you. Wow, it's amazing. I loved the first one. I think, first of all, of course, it was that interesting new experience. I remember when it was announced in magazines and stuff, everybody was like, wow, that sounds so cool. And I think it was. And I still remember the cheat that you could put in at the beginning. It was Kimbo Kasteknev. So I don't know, you could...
you name your profile that, right?
Yeah, right. And then it was a cheat. I don't know, you could choose a level, I think. That was the cheat. And I think you got all ammo and weapons if you wanted. But yeah, that and after that, the game lost me because the enemies weren't reliable. And for me, I never knew when do they detect me. You had this meter from the second game on, and I remember the demo that was really interesting. It was this, I think it was a finca in Spain or Italy or something like that, and you could go into like through the delivery entrance. It was a huge white wall outside, and I never knew. Sometimes the guards detected me immediately, and sometimes they didn't, and I never knew what happened. And
Yep.
So it lost me there.
I mean,
maybe
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think I've fallen into a universe where Hitman 1 had completely reliable AI. I mean, like, is this the case for you guys? Because I mean, one of the things that defines Hitman 1 for me now is thinking about it. I think about I have a fun hobby where I try and think of stealth games that when we played them 20 years ago, are they still playable by today's standards? Hitman 1 is a fairly functional garbage fire in terms of gameplay for people.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, because there's so much that can go wrong in terms of just how the AI perceives you, and on top of this, they had the foresight to put in the checkpoint system. So if you die, then you get sort of rebooted to the last possible save state. However, the AI doesn't reset. So if you've totally messed up that third or fourth mission, the assassination at the restaurant, which is just...
That's the one I was going to mention too. Yeah, that's where it all goes kind of haywire.
It's a great mission, but you need to know what you're doing and when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're screwed.
Did I get that right? So you can reload at certain points. I don't remember that actually.
You do.
But,
you basically
but the AI doesn't
you have
reset.
a protracted cutscene where he falls down and looks sad, and then you just literally pop back into the world, and the AI is in exactly the same active state that it was in when it was trying to kill you. So
that is so stupid and a typical example of nostalgia, because I totally forgot that.
Yeah, but I mean this is the thing, isn't it? Like at the time that we played it, we persisted through that. We pushed through it because we were like, oh, there's a good idea in here somewhere. Let's just dig through all this crap first, and we'll find the good idea. And
there was no comparison.
Yeah, and it's like,
well, at some point it was the first game, right?
Yeah.
But
so Stato, go on. Please.
I was just going to say, like, you push through it, you persevere. Games back then had a certain attitude, which was learn how I work or fuck off. Like, you know, there's no there was no sort of hand holding tutorial stuff that you get now. There was a recent game that had a remake called Panzer Dragoon, and that game, when it came out for the first time in the 1990s, guess what it came with? An instruction manual. What did you do with the instruction manual in the 1990s? You actually read the thing. You read it and you understood what the game was and how you played it. For a modern audience, they just literally they had no instructions, they had no tutorial, no introduction to how the game worked. They just threw you straight in and expected you to, you know, figure it out yourself. You can't do that with an old style game.
Yeah, and that's the problem. We stumbled upon that, I think, when we discussed Thief 1 on the podcast, where I was making fun of there was an Ramirez mission where there was an instruction to the lockpicks in-game. And then later we assumed, okay, this is maybe after the fan patches, they put it in there. And then someone in the comments said, and he was totally right, like, yeah, but when you played Thief 1, the original, you actually read the manual before, which of course you don't have now when you download it on Steam. I don't know if there's a PDF file or something.
You can from GOG, I think. I think GOG has the originals, yeah.
But still, it's, you know, doing that is a different thing. Like your mom took you to the store, on the way back in the car, you already unpacked the thing and read the manual excitedly. So you already got familiar with the mechanics.
And this is it,
and that was a good point, actually.
This is it. Yeah. We consume the media in a totally different way. And in terms of media consumption, Hitman 1 is like indigestible. As it exists right now. They would have to remake that game and remake it with modern mechanics. Oh, hey, look, they already did that. And they put online functionality into it too, which I think was something of a contentious point with a lot of Hitman fans, because I think that the idea is when the servers go down, the game will kind of stop working.
I don't think
it's a longevity issue.
Yeah, there's certainly that element to it now, which I think is a bit dodgy, But
what I wanted to add is, because you said, like, we just worked with the game, you know, and the game told us, I work like that, you have to handle me or shut up. What I just experienced, because I played, I think, at least 25 demos from that Steam Summer
Next
Fest. And I was annoyed in almost every game that the tutorial is, you know, first of all, the first 50 minutes is just text boxes, like boom, 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 and like basics, like press A to jump and stuff like that. And I was so annoyed by that. I was like, you know, I will figure it out, you know, somehow. Or, you know, tell me later, you know, make it interesting. But not put like the first level, just thing to click and read. And I think, for me, that was totally annoying. And I think that we are at a point where it's a bit too much for players to, you know, hand-holding them.
Well, no,
we had...
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead, Self.
No,
go ahead, Self.
I was just going to say, like, now you have what I think Mark Brown described as the silent tutorial, which is where you're playing the thing and you're learning how it works, but you don't... It's not an active experience, it's a passive experience, where the game is teaching you something. And you don't really...
Yeah, like Super Mario Bros. Already did that in the 80s.
Sure.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not a new concept.
But you know, like every fucking strategy game still wants to tell me, like, scroll the wheel to zoom in and out.
Yep.
Yeah, and so it put the cursor on the borders, and today I played one, and it says, like, you can put the cursor on the borders and it moves, or you can use WASD Or you could click the right button on the mouse also and move. We're like, yes, it's not the first. Someone who clicks on Steam and goes to the next fest and downloads the demo there, I'm pretty sure they played a game at least once.
It's not the first time they're starting Steam.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's too much. I think now where you don't have those physical manuals, yes, they needed to adapt to that, and they did. But it's so, even every indie game now does shit like that.
Well, we, as you know, because you played the game that I'm working on, Alex, we went hard in the text tutorial direction, and then we realized, holy crap, nobody likes this. We need to go in the opposite direction. So the way we're going now is we're just making it so you can't use UI that you have no reason to use. So when the game starts, you have one UI option, and then the number of UI options available to you increases as your capacity to operate increases. So we have a silent tutorial now, whereas before we had a text dump. And I think that's very indicative of how new games versus old games operate. Old games are just like, well, you can read the manual if you want, or you can just play. Whereas now, we know better, and we know that we need to teach while you play, right?
I hear a dog.
No, you hear my fiance putting her shoes on.
Is that her Serbian that she talks?
They're talking about you being Serbian now. She says sorry.
She's from Serbia, right?
Sorry, I'm
Yes.
Serbian.
Yeah.
She says she's also sorry she's Serbian.
No, and she doesn't have to, but you just said she talks, and there was a woof.
Yes, Serbian, the language of barking.
And I know that Serbian doesn't sound like that.
Stefano, let's hear something Serbian for the crowd.
They have to say what they want me to say.
What do you want her to say? Thief is a good game?
Yeah.
Thief je dobra igrica.
Yeah.
Say that again, one more time.
Thief je jako dobra igrica.
There we go.
You have a very smart dog.
Oh no.
Oh,
I won't repeat that to my physical audience.
No, I know. I know that you don't. Don't tell her that you love me. So guys, yeah, let's go on because I'm melting here. It's so hot. Because of just the Serbian voice. Stealth Dogs. The Siege and the Sandfox. Do you know what's going on with that game? I didn't hear a lot
still
of
waiting.
news.
Still waiting to hear news on that. I mean, like, good games take time. Wildfire took, I think, 8 years to come out. I was tracking that for a long time. So we're
But
still waiting.
There's not much they show. I think you have to keep people engaged a bit.
Oh, it's like this. I mean, what can I say? Like, the developer hasn't released much since I saw their initial trailer. At least as far as I'm aware, I still need to catch up on everything that was announced at Steamfest. So maybe there's something there, maybe they're not. But I think if I were making a stealth game, I would not want to go into contention with Gloomwood. So let's say maybe they've made a choice on that.
But yeah, so the Siege and the Sandfox, very interesting game, and the character looks a bit like Garrett in pixel optics. Yeah, so I think we are already in 2 hours. I think we can jump to our end topic.
I'm going to drop out now, but thanks for having me very much. It's appreciated.
Thanks for joining us.
No
Amazing.
worries.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by.
Awesome.
Always great to have you
Always
on.
a pleasure listening, chaps. Take care.
Yeah, and
You
we
too.
will make that next episode that we have planned with someone else happen in after summer, I would say.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. See you guys later.
Yeah, have a nice weekend. Bye.
Take care.
Bye for now.
I'll miss him.
Miss him already.
Yeah, he's amazing. So, the last topic was
Truarts Dungeon.
yeah, and I think this will be a fast one, but It was also on Reddit, and it said it was posted by Garrett8319. Well, is it normal?
That's my favorite, Garrett.
Is it?
Clones. The clones.
Yeah, I think the 6171 was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, he's
but
good.
yeah, 8319. Yeah, I think he's amazing. Best Garrett ever. Is it a thing on Reddit to name yourself with a word and then have like 4 digits behind it?
It's burner accounts. It's when people make accounts for like they want to post one thing or 2 things and they do it really quick. They make a burner account. So they just pick a name and add numbers to it so that it fits.
Okay. And Garrett8319 said or asked, what is the secret dungeon in Truarts Mansion supposed to be about? Unless I've missed some book or scroll that explains this further, it seems pretty unexplained. And a hammer hound guarding a golden skull. I think we already mentioned that at the beginning of the episode. I think that is the thing about Thief 2, like those little places that are a bit off the prettiness of the rest.
Off the beaten path.
Yeah, I think they get a bit more interesting in Thief 2.
So can I ask a question really quick? Are we not talking about Truart's weird dungeon with the zombie woman in it? Are we talking about a different dungeon?
No, it's that thing. They are interconnected. I think it's actually 2 interesting areas put together.
Okay.
You can enter the when you shoot the hammer symbol and then the huge hammer.
Oh
moves.
yes. Okay. See, I don't remember the golden skull, but I remember the haunt and I remember the zombie woman.
Yeah, and wait. I know. Okay, I just thought that the bot is not recording anymore. So you can enter the Hammerite section, and I think that is pretty obvious because, of course, Truart's family was they believed in the builder from the Hammerites' perspective, and then and this is still a Hammerites chapel, which I think is really interesting since he's so close to the Mechanists.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you have this secret area, and of course, there's the haunt. I think because I read that the haunts usually appear when something is corrupted in there, and
which is interesting because that kind of implies that his relationship with the Mechanist is what causes the haunt to.
I would say that. I also believe that is the case, and from there you also can visit that torture chamber.
Yeah, so the torture chamber is what I'm thinking about.
Yep, it's the more interesting part in my opinion because it's not connected to the story, I would say, or the lore of the thief.
I think it's really connected. So I guess we're gonna have different opinions, which makes this interesting.
Yeah, so go on. What is your idea?
So you can find a readable from, I can't remember who it's from. Actually, it's from Truart himself. So he's talking as Norman Truart.
Yeah, that creative name.
A very special name, yes. Close to something I would probably come up with myself.
Sake bad and
yes, exactly. Just like the most unsubtle, like disguise name possible. Like
indeed, yeah, rubber nose.
Put some glasses. Rubber nose and some glasses. He's a different person.
It's like
Marshall Gradge glasses.
Yeah,
outside at least.
Yeah, the other Thief podcast. So I'll be, when I was reading
not a Thief podcast, that's the name.
When I was, there's this thing from Norman Truart, and it's addressed to, I can't remember what her name is, but it's Madam something. And as far as I understand, Truart is rounding up people who he sees as criminal, people who he sees as like lesser than, and he's turning them over to the Mechanists in a partnership scheme where he gets support from the Mechanists, and they don't prevent his city watch from having power, so he gets power out of the deal, and the Mechanists get fodder for their servant program. because unbeknownst to Truart, at least at the time that I think that he wrote this, they're turning people into servants. So my understanding of Truarts Dungeon is that Truart is this corrupt figure who's in charge of the City Watch, who is trying to get rid of people who he has on his naughty list. And at the same time, we know he's corrupt because the people who are on his naughty list are people who he's like negotiating with. He's using his position of power as leverage. And the person who he's communicating to, he's saying like, hey, Madam So-and-so, I'll give you special treatment. I won't arrest you if you give me what I want. So he's being a predator. And my understanding of his dungeon is that the woman who is now a zombie in his dungeon is actually the person from the letter that he's writing, the person who he said he'd give exception to. And he brought them into the dungeon and then abused them so badly they died and resurrected. That's my understanding, is that his dungeon is like an expose of his character as a corrupt official. Did you guys see him the same way?
I'm just trying to remember when we talked about this mission, were you guys already aboard, or was it still with Nex and Psychosis?
I think it was Nex and Psychosis. I wasn't there for when you guys were talking about this.
Yeah. So yeah, of course we talked about that room, but I think we focused more on the spiders.
Do not press this button.
I think we didn't recognize the readable that you just connected to that, and I think that really makes sense. Yeah, so that's an interesting idea about that situation.
I'll find the readable and link it in the chat, just so people can read it.
I always thought that his family was corrupt, like the dungeon, because I mean the dungeon's like underneath the house, so like it's been there, you know what I mean? So I always thought of it as like when I found it, I was like, oh, like he's corrupt. I always thought of it maybe as like the family's always been corrupt, because I mean Thief kind of has that.
Of course they were. They're nobles, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic.
You're exactly right. That theme of the corrupt nobility, and like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree kind of thing. So that's kind of how I viewed it. It's just like his parents or his grandparents were corrupt, and they needed a dungeon to take away undesirables and stuff like that, and he's just converted his needs for the whole Mechanist Hammerite conflict. So that's how I viewed it.
But what is your explanation, guys, for the spiders? Because there's of course this button
there's the button that says "Do not press."
Do not press, and of course you do. And suddenly there is the spider, or two. I don't know. Is it one or two? I think it's
two.
It's a different verb, because back when I played it, I think it was just one. But it doesn't matter. But like how? How? Where do they come from? First of all, and isn't it maybe? It seems like that is also a bit of pagan magic behind it, maybe.
Fair. I don't know. I never thought of it as pagan magic until you tie it in with T2X. At that point, pagan magic is plausible.
Yeah, but that's not, that's a fan-made thing. So
it's fanon, not canon.
Yeah, Fanny. So what is your explanation on that, or your idea about that? Would interest me.
Do you mind if I go first? I think that the dungeon is halfway between being a developer secret and a narrative secret, in that like the spiders are part of the more like developer portion of the secret, in that like the devs put that button in for fun, and then it's unrelated to Truart himself. How do you feel about the button?
Jake?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think about it too much. I mean, of course I know it's there, but I never thought about, where did the spiders come from? I mean, what if there was a twist? And I know that maybe some fan missions take off from this, but what if like his family was like pagans that converted to being Hammerites or Mechanists or something? That would be interesting.
But what I could imagine is, and that would be really interesting, if maybe not Truart himself, but maybe his family long ago maybe had connections to the pagans. But Emino just wrote there's an eerie atmosphere surrounding Truarts Mansion for sure. I absolutely loved robbing these little houses and discovering the pagan assassin and the cemetery. Thief 2 is a story of people who love progress and technology trying to hide supernatural, obscure, and irrational elements of the world. That's why these rare, odd places are so precious. And yeah, that's what I was going. Like, maybe there were connections to the pagans somehow. I think because I don't know how you guys see it, but I would see the spiders as pagan-esque creatures.
I don't know. The game dev in me just sees them as a consequence of the button, not necessarily as strictly pagan. But I can get behind what you're saying. You're saying like the spiders as spiders. Spiders being
I could
like part of the
imagine
pagan purview.
Pagans would befriend with spiders and
Yeah.
or maybe have would use them, and don't you get the spider eggs actually in pagan areas?
Frog eggs.
Yeah, right. No, spider eggs were made in fan missions later. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's like, and that is all actually something I really like about that idea. Like, there's this Hammerite cathedral in the building of the guy that works really close with the mechanists, and maybe his family also has a connection to pagans or had, like everything in one place, like and nothing should be together. That's just my
Never the two shall meet.
Yeah, but like even what if like Karras would hate it to still have that Hammerites church there, but if he would find out that there's maybe some pagan connection one level deeper, yeah, but that's just my 2 cents on that.
That actually is a good idea, Alex. That reminds me of like maybe a good idea for a fan mission, and there's so many, so correct me if this is one, but in a state or maybe like a large area where the family or the people are kind of torn between like pagans and Hammerites. So maybe have like one building, like a giant cathedral, and half of it's been converted into like a Hammerite cathedral, and the other half is like a pagan site.
Ooh.
Where I don't know, it just seems like you struck an idea. I think that'd be really cool, and like you could have the story where the family members or there's inner fighting and stuff like that, and going between one area and the other with the contrast in the environment and the enemies. It'd be cool.
So I'm gonna message Brethren with a new contest idea, and it's gonna be called I don't know, a state of change.
Religions colliding, clash of religions,
and it's gonna be about a romance love story between like a Hammerite / mechanist convert and a pagan, and dealing with the issues that come with crossing those détentes.
It's Norman Druid, Lady Karras.
It's going to be a beautiful contest.
And Parrot.
I think that would be good, and of course, there's nothing that brings everybody together more than religious fighting. We know that's a really uniting topic, of course. Yeah.
I would say that Brethren should redirect the ongoing contest and inform everybody that is taking part. Like, guys, change it, go back. We do the whole thing with a new perspective.
Oh man! Just as an aside, I've done a few game jams where the game jam is a game jam with a twist, where like they give you a subject to start with and they change it halfway through, and it usually results in something very interesting. I'd actually love to see a curveball contest.
Yeah, of course.
It's like
Sorry to digress.
No, that's okay. It's like Two-Face. It's like the whole duality aspect is what makes it interesting. So the idea is that in general the dungeon is just another secret of a noble person that who's hiding things and doing bad things to people. Yeah, for sure. It's the simplest explanation, probably the most likely.
I think there's not actually, a big thought behind it by the devs. But yeah. So, yeah, before I melt totally, this was fun and another spontaneous guest that we had. One of my favorites, by the way. And yeah, so I think we can finish this. So thanks for the listeners, for the people that were in the chat and were following this. And thanks to you guys for doing this with me.
Always
Absolutely.
a pleasure.
Anything to add?
Thanks, Stealth Docs, for being on, and it was fun. Good episode.
Absolutely. And you won't get rid of me without me kicking and screaming.
Yeah, and we had your fiance on in voice.
Special guest.
Now she's famous.
Aye.
So see you around, guys. Bye.
They take all this stuff way too seriously.